What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, January 26, 2023. I am your host, Sean Murphy. And today I want to have a little bit more of an extended conversation because the Detroit Pistons play again tonight. And as they're heading into their final stretch of this NBA season, as they're getting ready to head into the All-Star break, and we're ready to put this mother season behind us and forget about it as quickly as possible and see whatever returns we get for it in the draft lottery, I think it's important to start questioning, okay, well, what specific players should Detroit be looking at? What type of improvements does Detroit need to make to this roster? And what are some potential guys Troy Weaver could be considering right now? Because I had a couple of people ask me after my, latest video talking about how the Pistons need change, and also during the podcast where we had an extended conversation about that as well. People are asking, well, what players, what specific people would you like to see in the building? And we had a little bit of a conversation about it on the pod. I want to extend that and have that conversation more here because I think there's quite a few different routes you can go. Obviously, I think, with Troy Weaver taking on with that salary cap that we're about to have coming in, there's obviously a few different avenues that you can go. Just because you get that money freed up day one doesn't mean you have to spend it day one. So I think one of the things that you can look at is, all right, well, what are some realistic targets in free agency? What would be some guys we could target if we want to go big? What could be some guys we can target if we want to just add some cheap, affordable guys to our roster that can immediately just at least make us more, formidable on the defensive end? And I think there's a couple different avenues you can go. I think for one, a guy that's pretty obviously on the Pistons' radar and someone that, both should be a target for them, someone that's, been reported as a potential target for them, is Grant Williams for the Boston Celtics. He fits the mold of everything that this Pistons team needs. For one, he's tough on the defensive end. He can switch multiple positions. He can guard in the perimeter. He can bang with guys in the post. He's the type of guy that you want on a championship run. He's perfect on that Boston Celtics team. He makes them a better team, and he's one of the better corner three-point specialists in the league. He's kind of like this evolution of PJ Tucker in a way. And, he has that, type of chippiness to him. He's a high character guy. Everyone in the Boston locker room loves him. He's apparently one of the funniest guys in the league, which, that wouldn't shock me in the slightest. But most importantly is everything that he brings on the court, is the toughness and attitude and mentality that he presents. Because when Grant Williams is on, the Boston Celtics are a different team. They just are. And so I'm looking at this Pistons roster right now, and it's not a secret that by far our biggest weakness is currently in our wing position. We need long, athletic wings who can switch, who can play stout defense, who can hit threes. If we don't have that, that can severely handicap where this restoration is going. Oh, hi, I'm Sean Murphy, founder and CEO of From Half Court. Are you a sick who enjoys this channel? Ha 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 ha, me too. If you are, you should join the From Half Court Discord down in this link below. This Discord will be your one-stop shop for your announcements on From Half Court videos, your community with all different chats about basketball, football, memes, you name it, Pistons watch parties, chat rooms for live streams, and more. You're going to want to be in the Discord because this is where the From Half Court community is. It's 100% free, and you don't even have to be subscribed. Just click that link right down below and join the From Half Court Discord today. There's even guys that are available via trade right now that kind of fit that mold of what Detroit needs as well. A Jay Crowder type, if you will. We just need more guys who will defend, who aren't gonna back down from anybody, who is gonna bring effort on a night-to-night basis, and quite frankly, who fit that Detroit mold. It wouldn't be a bad thing either if they were more of a veteran presence as well. Because first of all, in this league, you need veterans to win games. You just do. And this roster has been quite young for quite a while. And I think if you can blend some of the young talent that you have in this locker room, guys like Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, and blend those with NBA veterans, proven winners like Grant Williams, like a Jay Crowder, I think that's only going to bring this team to the next level, because it's pretty clear we need guys who can show these guys how to win games and how to defend on a night-to-night basis. But then there's the question of how crazy do you want to get with it? Because if you really want to get crazy, you want to talk about something that's been floating in the back of my head of late, I will tell you what, man. The idea of having Draymond Green in a Pistons uniform next year is becoming more and more enticing by the day, especially when watching that Pistons 150-point performance against the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, the 150 points, not that they scored, but rather they gave up on their home court after returning from Paris. One of the things that crossed my mind was there is no way in hell Draymond Green would let anyone come on his court and score 150 points, especially in his home state, on his home team. For me, like, obviously you look at the Warriors situation, they had to pay a lot of people, you know, in order to keep this unit together. And one of the big questions that they're going to be facing this offseason is, are they going to be able to maintain and retain Draymond Green? What is his long-term outlook? And obviously, I know a lot of people are afraid of Draymond's age. They look at his offensive production and say, well, is he really, you know, worth the money? Because when you look at a Draymond Green, he's not the flashy all-star that when you sign him for a big, you know, for a big free agent money signing where you're going to pull up the highlight tapes and just be super excited. But rather what he is he's a voice and a mentality and a presence in this locker room that we don't have. He's one of the most savvy playmakers on the offensive end. And you want to talk about what's made the Warriors, you know, wheels go round for the past few years. The Warriors have actually been pretty good when Steph Curry's been out of the lineup. It's when Draymond Green gets out of the lineup that hits the fan. Because Draymond Green is the heart and soul of what the Warriors are, but he's also the motor to that machine as well on both ends of the court. And he's that kind of coach, you know, that kind of on-court coach that the Pistons definitely don't have right now. I mean, Cade, when Cade's healthy, he has a better capability of playing that role than most guys in the, you know, on this roster. But the reality of it is, who's the person, you know, quarterbacking both ends? Who's the person leading that charge, telling guys where to be, giving them the reassurances, but also calling them out on their during game to say, hey, you need to be in your spot. You can't miss your rotations. Because I think we see that all the time from our coaching staff. I think we see it from our assistant coaches. I think we see it from Dwayne Casey. I think we see a lot of conversations, and it's like they know what to do. They know the concepts. It's just the actual execution. And so that begs the question, how do you get that execution? And I understand a lot of people are going to, well, obviously you replace the head coach. And I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't think having a different head coach is something that truly makes a huge difference until you're talking about a playoff team. I think when you're talking about a team that's in the development stages, when you're talking about firing a coach, you want to look at how's the overall culture of the organization. Are there things getting out in the locker room? Are players being insubordinate? Is there any reason to believe that players aren't giving effort on a night-to-night basis? And listen, on the defensive end, there are certainly questions there. And I think that's where Troy Weaver has to come in and over the course of the deadline and free agency, make some decisions. Because there's some guys that we like in this locker room, but the reality of it is, again, I said this on the pod, I said this in the video, we need to figure out which players on this team are good NBA players and which players are Detroit Pistons. And when I think of the mold of a person that can embody what that culture means, when I think of a player that would know that better than anybody in this free agency class, you know, born and raised in Saginaw, went to Michigan State, grew up a Pistons fan, but also embodied it and walked that walk in the league ever since day one. A lot of people compare it to the modern day Dennis Rodman, for Christ's sakes. I mean, everything lines up to say this guy would essentially bring back that bad boy-esque mentality in that going to work type routine on the defensive end every single night. So if I'm Troy Weaver, I am definitely considering Draymond Green this offseason. Also, holy, my cat just has to steal the show. Really, Bishop? Listen, what I think I'm really getting at, there's not really much of a secret that this team needs a different mentality, needs a little bit different of an attitude. And I think that needs to start with what players we have in the locker room. Specifically, we talk about, like having the right players, the right people. And I think we have a lot of high character players who want to put in the work each and every single night. But we need to have high character players who are focused and, quite frankly, were raised on the defensive end. We need a couple more people like Hamidou Diallo in our lineup who specifically go out and start their bread and butter on the defensive end each and every night. That's when Hamidou Diallo has really made his effect known. That's when he's really been able to take, his step is when he's really been that defensive force. So, for me, I look at guys like Hamidou. I look at guys like Kevin Knox, if he can continue to bring that on the defensive end. Guys like that look a lot more safe in a Pistons uniform long term. And with these defensive issues, with Bojan at the trade deadline, it becomes a much more interesting conversation because on one hand, this Pistons team could absolutely use everything that Bojan brings on the offensive end. But at the same time, can they afford to have this deficiency on the defensive end? And I think that's going to be an interesting conversation to be had. I personally would still not move him at the deadline and see if you can still get some form of deal in the offseason. However, if the Pistons can somehow walk away with one of those unprotected picks from the Lakers, then I absolutely would be willing to consider trading Bojan. But as I do each and every single video, I want to end it by going with this. What do you think? What do you want to see the Pistons do? Who do you want to see the Pistons target in free agency? Who do you want to see us target maybe even at the trade deadline? Who do you want to see in a Pistons uniform? And who do you want to see reevaluated as a Piston over this offseason? Let me know in the conversation in the comment section down below. And also, let me know in the new Discord we have as well. Join down below. But with that, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time from Half Court. Be sure you subscribe.